Good afternoon, all of you. In the last class, we were discussing about the propagation models that comes under second module of wireless communication. So, the previous slide, we have already gone through what is the necessity of propagation models. Basically, these propagation models, they are used for predicting the signal's strength at a given distance from the transmitter. Maybe the receiver will be very far from the transmitter. So we need to find out the received power level at the destination receiver, which is at a distance d from the transmitter. So in that case, these models we have to use. Okay. Propagation models are basically the models, channel models, which are used to predict the signal strength at a given distance away from the transmitter. And you know that the signal strength always continues to be vary with respect to different factors, even like locations, the climatic conditions, the channel, that is the channel disturbances. So all these factors will affect your signal strength. So this may get varied with respect to all these factors, and we need to estimate the variability of the signal strength, how the signal strength is getting varied in different locations. For all this also, we are going to use these propagation models. So these are the main applications of propagation models. So in this module, we'll be discussing about the propagation models. And there are two types of propagation models basically. One is large scale propagation model and second one is small scale propagation model. Okay. So this is also included for your CI. Okay. Till whatever I'm teaching till tomorrow, it will be included for your CI. The large scale propagation model, from the name itself, you can see that we are trying to predict the average signal strength for the large separation of transmitter and receiver. Okay, that is our signal we are going to transmit for a very far distance away from the transmitter, and we are going to find the variations in the signal strength for a very large distance. You can't say that the receiver is very close to the transmitter. So we are finding the variations in power level of the received signal or the strength of the received signal for a very large range or for a very large distance. Okay. So for that only, we are going to access the, we are going to use the propagation models. Now, another use of this large scale propagation model is to estimate the radio coverage of a transmitter. If you use a transmitter, then you will have a definite So another use of this propagation model is that it is used for estimating the coverage of a transmitter, means till what distance your signal will reach. Okay, from the transmitter till what distance, what maximum distance this particular signal will reach. That is a coverage. It can be in terms of distance or it can be distance in terms of area also. So propagation model is used for finding the coverage area, as well as it is used to predict the signal strength for an arbitrary large separation between the transmitter and receiver. So here you will be using larger scale propagation model only for the cases when the separation is of very large, about hundreds to 1,000 meters. Okay, so from 100 meters to kilometer distance of separation between the transmitter and receiver, will be making use of large scale propagation model. I told you there are two types of propagation model. One is large scale and second one is small scale. Coming to the small scale propagation model, from the name itself, we will be able to know that here the fading will occur. What do you mean by fading? Fading means the decrement of the signal strength whenever the receiver is far away from the transmitter. As and when the signal goes beyond or away from the transmitter, the signal strength will goes on decreasing. And finally, when it reaches at the receiver, you will have a faded signal. Okay. The main reason behind the fading is because of the multipath propagation. I told you in the earlier class, the reason behind the multipath propagation is because of the undesirable kinds of reflection, diffraction, scattering, and all. Okay, all these will take place simultaneously because of the obstacles that is present in the line of sight communication. Transmitter and receiver cannot see each other always. In between, you are having a large height buildings, mountains. Okay, that depends upon the location or the geographical area. Understood? So all these will lead to fading of the signal. So the small scale feeding, it means that here we will have a rapid fluctuations of the received signal over a very small span of time, or for a very small span of distance also. Even if the receiver is very close to the transmitter, for a very short duration also we will experience very rapid fluctuations in the signal, or the power level will get deteriorate in a very large, very fast rate. That is what's known as small scale fading. So it is the thing is that here we are going to transmit the radio waves over a very short distance. So they will travel only for a short distance of few wavelength, and also the observation time interval will be also of the order of seconds. Clear? Large scale fading means we are going to transmit a signal for large distance and then we are observing the fading. So fading will occur gradually only. Okay, receiver will be too far away from the transmitter of the order of kilometers. But here what will happen, what's happening here is the receiver is too much close to the transmitter and still we are getting some sort of fading, and the fading will be fluctuating, rapidly fluctuating. Okay, the signal strength will fluctuate in a very rapid manner. That is what is known as small scale fading. This model you can, it will be more understandable if you check the next slide. Okay. See, this is the graph that showing the plot between the received power and the separation, TR separation. Please students, kindly let me know if the screen is visible at any time. If you are feeling any difficulties, please let me know at that particular time itself. Otherwise, it will get delayed. I'll be speaking on continuously and it will become a problem. Okay. So try to interrupt whenever you are feeling some difficulties with respect to my voice or with respect to the screen. Kindly pause me and tell at that particular time itself. Okay. Now is it okay? Screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from the name, from this graph itself, you can see that you're having two graphs actually, isn't it? One is this dark line as shown here, and superimposed to this particular graph, you're having some rapid fluctuations in the signal strength, which corresponds to the small scale fading. So the one which I have shown, the gradual variation, this is nothing but the larger scale fading. So larger scale fading means we will be concentrating a very large duration as observation time interval. Even the distance or the separation between the TR will be also very large. Okay. At the same time, when we are going for the small scale fading, we'll be experiencing rapid fluctuations over a very small interval of time itself, or even the radio wave traveling for a short duration or for a short distance also, it will experience rapid fluctuations. That is understandable from this particular graph. And what is the unit that I have been plotted in the y-axis? Y-axis, it is, we have plotted received power. Its unit is dB milli, dBm. dB milli means we have converted the power to milliwatt and then to the dB level. Okay. We have converted the received power level at the receiver or at the destination to milliwatt and then to decibels. That is what is known as dB milli. In x-axis, we are plotting the distance between the transmitters and receivers in meters. Okay, so this is the plot that I have shown for discriminating the small scale and large scale fading. You can see for small scale fadings, you have rapid fluctuations, whereas for large scale fading, it will take time for fluctuation. Okay, that is a duration, it will take more for the fluctuation to happen. You can't get the rapid fluctuations for large scale fading. So these two, it comes in different scenarios that depends on the channel statistics as well as the locations of the transmitter and receiver, as well as the environment, whether it is urban or the rural. Now, free space propagation model, this is going to be very important for your CIE. Excuse me, one clarify, I need to tell about your CIE question pattern. I told in the morning, it will be 5 questions, 3 theory and 2 this thing, what is that, 2 problems. Okay, I told you the 2 problems will be from trunking theory, not like that. 1 from the trunking theory and 1 from this module. Okay, 1 problem will be from the trunking theory, means your that is the traffic intensity, arrival rate, holding time, that part. Okay, that is the example 3.4, 3.7, whatever I have shared in the previous classes. That is important. Along with that, the problems that is now we are discussing. Today's class, we are discussing few problems that will also come to your CA. So 2 problems you have and 3 theories. The 2 problem, one will be from the trunking theory and the other problem will be from the free space propagation model. problem. Okay, this theory is also important. This derivation is also important. You need to do this derivation, not derivation, some sort of analysis. So as of now, we have discussed two types of any doubts, regarding with the CIE pattern. So in the free space propagation model, here channel that we have assumed between the transmitter and
So how do
receiver.
we submit the answers, sir? Can I upload, sir?
What is it, Shiva? I didn't hear you. What is it?
So while submission, we need to write down, scan, and upload, sir, for internals.
Yes. It will be monitored. It will be monitored. It will be video proctored exam, and followed by that, we should upload the things in the link. I'll share the link. Okay, Google Classroom or whatever maybe. I'll share that link. In that you need to upload, scan and upload. That's all. Descriptive it is. It's not objective. It will be descriptive.
Okay, sir.
Sir, what about people who have Infosys exam, sir?
That is, I have conveyed the same thing to HOD, sir. I will let you know. Okay, maybe you will be getting the retest afterwards. Okay, I will let you know.
Okay, sir. Thank
Or class teacher will let you know. I'll convey with HOD, sir, and through him, class teachers will let you know. Okay. So in the free space propagation model, as the name implies, we are assuming the free space as a channel that is connecting between the transmitter and the receiver. So in this particular model, what we are trying to convey is we are having an LOS between T and R. LOS means line of sight communication. So here there is no hindrance in between transmitter and receiver. You are having a line of sight channel available in between the transmitter and receiver. There is no obstacles like mountains or towers or buildings in between. There is no scope for diffraction, reflection, or scattering. Okay, so straight away the signal will come towards a receiver. So the example of this line of sight propagation is nothing but satellite or microwave communication. So if you are asked to write about the free space propagation model or line of sight communication model, both are same. Okay, free space means there is free, the space is free, there is no hindrance in between. There is no ground reflections also. Okay, direct transmission or direct link from the transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna, because they are mounted on a very high tower maybe. So in between there is no mountains, there is no obstacles. So like that you have an environment created. Yeah. Now you know that whenever some sort of signals are transmitting from the transmitter, the distance is very large. Means of course the signal's strength is going to decrease. So signal strength is nothing but a function of distance, or the power level that is received at the receiver is a function of distance. That is nothing but PR of D. Okay, what do you mean by PR of D? PR of D is nothing but the received power at the destination. Please keep a note. Please take down some important points. Don't sit idle. PR of D is nothing but the power level that is received at the receiver node or receiver unit, which is a function of distance D. D is nothing but the distance or the separation between T and R. The equation for this is known as free space equation plus free space equation. Okay, so PR of D, the equation for PR of D is called as free space equation, which is given by PT GT GR lambda square whole divided by 4 pi the whole square D square L. Now what are the terms that is being defined in this particular equation? PT, as you know, what is PT? Power that is being transmitted. GT is the gain of transmitting antenna. GR is the gain of receiving antenna. Lambda is the wavelength of the radio wave that you have used. D is the distance between transmitter and receiver. L is the loss factor. Here you can see that the received power is inversely proportional to distance. So whenever the distance increases, the received power also decreases with a squared manner. Okay, so it is actually following the inverse square law. That is, it is inversely proportional to square of the distance between the transmitter and receiver. And please know that if there is no losses, then you will have to take L as 1. So L equal to 1 indicates that there is no loss in the system. Okay, there is no losses in the system. And this is not actually the propagation loss. L doesn't have any connection with the propagation laws. It is a system laws. System laws means the laws that is confined to the antenna or the receiver filters or the attenuators, whatever we are using in the transmitter section and the receiver section. L does not have any connection with respect to propagation laws or the path laws. Clear? If there is more losses in the system means the value of L will be positive, or that is it should be greater than 1. If L is equal to 1, it is understood that there is no loss in the hardware, system hardware. Please be aware about the fact that the term L does not have any connection to the path loss. It only determines the loss that is connected with the system hardware. System hardware means your transmitter unit, your filter unit, your receiver unit, your antenna unit, like that. So the losses associated with hardware is nothing but capital L, which is nothing but loss factor. Loss factor can be 1 or greater than 1. For ideal system, L should be 1 without any loss, and if there is losses means the L should be greater than 1. I told you what is GT and GR. GT and GR are nothing but the gain of antennas at the transmitter and receiver unit respectively. And you know the equation for G, which you have studied from antenna theory. G is 4 pi AE by lambda square. AE is the effective aperture and lambda is the wavelength. Okay. Now, what is the relation between the frequency and lambda? Lambda is C by F. F is your frequency that is transmitted. C is the velocity of light in free space, and lambda is the wavelength. You know that PT and PR must be in the same unit. That will be, it should be in watts. PT and PR are nothing but the power transmitted and power received. So it will be in the same units. That is nothing but watt. GT and GR, gain. Gain has dimensionless. There is no unit for gain. So it is dimensionless quantity. When you take an ideal antenna means an isotropic antenna that will be uniformly radiating in all directions. And the gain will be unity and is often used as a reference. Okay, an isotropic radiator or an isotropic antenna can be considered as a reference antenna, which will be radiating with a unit gain uniformly in all directions, and this is called as a reference antenna. For this reference antenna, if you multiply the power and the gain, okay, if you use a reference antenna as the transmitter unit, and if you multiply the power and gain of that antenna, then it is called as a EIRP factor. EIRP is nothing but effective isotropic radiated power. What this EIRP means, it is nothing but the maximum radiated power available from a transmitter in the direction of maximum antenna gain. But since this is forming a unity gain in all directions, it will have a uniform radiation pattern also. So EIRP, what is EIRP? EIRP is nothing but the maximum radiated power in a specified direction where the antenna's gain is very large. Okay, so the measurement of maximum radiated power is nothing but EIRP, which you can find out by just multiplying PT and GT. PT is the transmitted power and GT is the antenna's gain. Is that clear for you? So as of now, what we have discussed, we have a first free space equation and where we define the terms PT, GT, GR, lambda, D and L, and we know that the power received at the receiver at a distance D apart from the transmitter is inversely proportional to square of the distance D, and G is the antenna's gain, L is the loss factor, and the loss factor can be 1 or greater than 1. If it is 1, it is lossless system. If it is greater than 1, it is a lossy system. Okay. And secondly, we gone for the isotropic antenna. And isotropic antenna's radiation pattern will be uniformly in all directions, and its gain will be assumed to be 1. Okay, and the EIRP is nothing but the product of PT and GT, which is nothing but the measurement of maximum radiated power available in a particular direction, where that in that particular direction the gain will be maximum. But as far as this antenna is concerned, isotropic radiator is concerned, it will have uniform radiations in all directions. Therefore, it will have same EIRP in all directions. In all directions, the EIRP will be same. But if we are not using a this thing, that is isotropic radiator, or if you are using a practical antenna as a transmitter, then we will go for EIRP instead of EIRP. Okay, EIRP is only applicable for a isotropic radiator, but if you are using a practical radiator or a practical antenna which is having some sort of directivity or which is having some sort of ability to maintain radiations in one focused direction, then we will go for ERP. Okay. The difference between ERP and EARP is that ERP is equal to EARP minus 2.15 for a dipole antenna. For a practical dipole antenna, whatever EARP that we have, ERP, I told you, it is nothing but PT into GP of an isotropic antenna. So from that ERP, we need to subtract 2.15 to get the original ERP of a dipole practical antenna. So we can say that the ERP of a dipole antenna will be 2.15 dB smaller than the EARP. So this you don't bother, you just have the relation or you just know the concept of what is ERP and EARP. EIRP is only for isotropic radiator. Okay, for a practical radiator or for a practical antenna, we'll go for ERP. But the effective radiated power of a practical radiator will be always 2.15 decibels smaller than the isotropic radiators. That is ERP equal to ERP minus 2.15. That is what is the meaning of taking the isotropic radiator as a reference antenna. Okay, so if we have a reference antenna and if you are able to find the reference antenna's EARP, then that value minus 2.15 will be always the ERP of a practical dipole antenna. We are taking dipole as the practical antenna. Okay. Now, using this particular antenna, we are able to find the path loss. I told you from this radiator, whatever we are using using as a transmitter, it will produce a radio waves, and these radio waves are traveling through the free space towards a distance D. This D will be very far from the transmitter, and we should able to find the path loss. Why you are finding the path loss? Because only after finding the path loss only we will be able to predict the signal's strength variation throughout the model or throughout the distance. At a different distance, we are having different strength, right? So by using this model, a system designer should be able to predict or estimate the value of the received power. For that, what he need to do? He need to identify the amount of loss that the signal has experienced during its propagation through the space. So how we are going to find the path loss? From this first bullet, you just read that first sentence. Path loss, it represents the signal's attenuation and is defined as a difference between the effective transmitted power and the received power. Okay, path loss is difference between the transmitted power and the received power. So if you know the received power strength and if you already know the transmitted power length, then transmitted power's value, then you will be able to find the difference between those two powers so that you will be able to calculate the path loss. So in the both way it is okay. If you know the path loss or if you know the transmitted power, automatically you can able to calculate the receiver's power value also. Okay. So path loss is nothing but the difference between the transmitter power and the received power. But when it comes to dB, of course you need to take the 10 log, isn't it? So PT minus PR is nothing but in terms of watts. But when it comes to dB, what will happen? You will have to take the logarithm and then divide and multiply it by 10. So 10 log of PT by PR, because log of A by B is nothing but log A minus log B, isn't it? So the difference between the two factors, in watts is equivalent to taking the logarithm and then dividing, then applying or multiplied by 10. Clear? Now what you will do is, see, please write this particular equation. Path loss is equal to 10 log PT by PR. Put it as equation number 2. Now already we have written the first free space equation. First free space equation already you wrote. From this you find PT by PR. From this you try to find PT by PR. What will be the value? PT by, rearrange it and find PT by PR. Of course, PR should be the function of D, but doesn't matter. You can put PR also, no matter. PT by PR will be equal to 4 pi the whole square D square L divided by GT GR into lambda square. Isn't it? Just by interchanging the numerators or rearranging that you will get. But what I am trying to do is, I will be trying to place that GT GR lambda square in the numerator itself, and that 4 pi the whole square into D square the denominator itself. So for that, what I have to do, I should put a negative sign at the left end, isn't it? Because log of 1 by a is equal to minus log a, or log of 1 by x is equal to minus log x. So if you want to take the reciprocal within the bracket, you should be able to put minus sign in front. So what I have done is I have rearranged this first free space equation and find this pt by pr, and I will be pt by pr. But while doing that, what I will be doing is I'll be putting this dt gr lambda square in the numerator itself, and 4 pi the whole square d square l in the denominator itself. So for that, I'll be putting minus sign. Assume that the loss factor is 1. Assume that loss factor is 1 means there is no loss in the system. Then L can be neglected. L becomes 1. Also, one more assumption, all the antennas gains are unity, means it is a isotropic antenna. Okay, so antenna gain you have assumed as unity. So GT and GR, kindly make it as 1. So the equation will become path loss in dB will be equal to minus 10 log lambda square whole divided by 4 pi whole square d square. Any doubts? So from this equation, it is understood that we will be able to find the path loss whenever we know the distance. Because lambda is understood. How will you find lambda? How will you find lambda? If you know the frequency, how will you find lambda? If you know the carrier frequency, how you are going to find lambda? If you know the frequency, how we are going to find lambda? What is the relation between lambda and frequency?
Is equal to f into lambda.
Yeah. Lambda is C by F. So by using C by F relation, we'll be able to find lambda. So we can substitute that lambda over here, and knowing the value of D, D is nothing but the separation between the transmitter and receiver. You can find the value of EL. This is what is the press free space model. Now, after knowing PL, what I'm trying to do is I should find a distance, because we are trying to find the received power. Okay. We are trying to find the received power, actually not PL. But to find the received power, we should be able to mention PL also, path loss also. So here, knowing the value of D, you will be able to find the path loss from this particular equation. So you are not going to bother about any factors, because all the gains I have assumed 1. Then even the loss factor also I have assumed 1. Why? Because there is no loss, because I am trying to establish a line of sight communication. There is no hindrance in between. There is no obstacles in between. So there is no scope of diffraction or reflection or scattering. So loss factor is 1. So knowing the value of D, I will be getting the path loss in dB. Now what I am doing is I should find a power at a particular point. I should be able to find the power received at a particular distance away from the transmitter. But to take the distance, what the condition is, you are not going to take the distance just immediate to the antenna. Just very close to the antenna, you are not taking the point. Okay. Why I am not interested in a near field region is because the antenna's pattern is not going to change in the near field. In the near field, it is going to be same, uniform radiations I will get, or uniform power it will get. So there is no change in antenna's output radiation pattern in the near points. So I will be only focusing for a large distance away from the transmitter. So always I should be able to go beyond a particular threshold distance. That is what is called Fraunhofer distance. This is very important for your CIE. One problem will be there to calculate the DF value. What is DF? DF is known as Fraunhofer distance. So you will be asked to find the Fraunhofer distance. That is, at least we should be able to fix a point beyond this particular minimum distance. So within this distance, we are not able to take any more points as a receiver. So we will not fix the receiver antenna in this model within the distance DF. So if we are taking the free space model, free space propagation model, we should take the receiver's distance more than DF. Only then it will be able to predict or find the average received power level. Otherwise, if it is within the DF, what will happen is it will get different values at different instance of time. Okay. So df is equal to 2d square by lambda. So you will be having a precise value. Okay, you will be having a precise value only if the distance is greater than the Fraunhofer distance. So that Fraunhofer distance is defined by 2d square by lambda. D is the physical linear dimension of the transmitting antenna. D is nothing but the capital D is the physical dimension of the receiver's antenna, and lambda is the wavelength. What is capital D? It is a dimension of the physical linear dimension of the physical antenna. If you held that antenna linearly, if you fix an antenna linearly, you can measure the distance. Then the distance is capital D. The length of the linear distance of the antenna. Okay, that is capital D. So it is evident from this equation that always this DFS should be very much greater than D as well as greater than lambda. Lambda is a wavelength corresponding to the frequency, whatever you are trying to transmit. So the Fraunhofer distance should be very much greater than lambda and it should be very much greater than D, and it should satisfy this equation also. Like that, you need to fix DF. Clear? And after finding out DF, suppose DF is 5 kilometers, then you are trying to fix the receiver beyond 5 kilometers away from the transmitter, maybe 5.1 or 5.2 kilometers. Then only you will be able to get precise values of received signal strength or power. Okay, that is a speciality of this Fraunhofer distance. So I will be choosing a point that is D0. D0 is called a close in distance, which is nothing but a reference point. Here, what is D0? D0 is known as close in distance, which is immediately more than DF, or it can be equal to DF also. And I will find the power received at this particular point. Okay. So before taking any other receivers, what I will do is, before installing any other receivers in any other locations, what I will do is, I will calculate the received power at the antenna that is being fixed at a D0, where D0 is known as close in distance, that will be always greater than or immediately equal to DF. So this is a reference point at which the power is known to you, or power is known to the designer. With this known power, he will be able to find the received power at any of the distance D, which will be greater than D0, even it is greater than DF. That is what is being mentioned in the next equation. Okay. So we are going to find the received power at a distance D, okay, which will be greater than the close-in distance, and it will be also greater than the Fraunhofer distance. So how we are going to find the received power at a distance D? Again, by using your Friis free space equation. Okay. So you write this equation, all of you write this equation, and I should tell how this equation comes. For this, again, you have to write the Friis free space equation. You write that Friis free space equation first. I repeat, this question is very important for you for your CIE 1. So this is your PR of D. This is your Friis free space equation. And this equation is nothing but it is a power that is received at a distance D. Now what I will do is I will put D0 over here. Then it will become PR of D0. What is PR of D0? Anybody? What is PR of D0? I'm the only person who is talking. There is no interaction, no response at all. Even if I ask, only Shiva will tell. Or Stan will tell. Others will not speak at all. What is PR of D0? Maunika, what is PR of D0? What is PR of D0? See, this means that you have joined the meeting and you have gone somewhere. Sushma, what is PR of D0? Sushma is there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me what is PR of D0? PR of D is a received power at a distance D. this D distance should be very much greater than the Fraunhofer distance. I told you. You are going to find the received power at a distance D, which should be very much greater than the Fraunhofer distance. That is nothing but your far field region. You are not going to find the received power in near field region because we are trying to develop a long distance communication. Okay, we are trying to establish a long distance communication through the free space model. So for that, what we are doing is we are trying to find the received power at a very large distance D that should be greater than the Fraunhofer distance, that is near field region. It should not be in the near field region. It should be beyond DF. That is what is called the far field region. Okay. Now PR of D0 means it is the close-in distance. Close-in distance means the reference point. Again, that D0 is also greater than Fraunhofer distance DF. So, but the user will be able to find the received power at D0 initially, so that he can find, with respect to that particular value, he will be able to find the power at any points greater than D0. So D0 should be the reference point. At D0, first he will try to find the received power. Later what he will do is, he will take any distance greater than D0, then he can find the received power at all those points by using one equation. That equation we are going to do. Is that clear? So for that, what you will do is, PR of D0 is equal to PT GT GR lambda square by 4 pi the whole square. When you put D here, it is not good. Now we are going to find PR of D0. So in place of D, you will put a D0. Again, L can be 1. It can be discarded. Isn't it? Now divide the two equations. Already this equation you have. Now you got equation number 2 also with you. Equation number 1 means in terms of D. Now you have equation number 2 also in terms of D0. Divide those two equations and let me know what is the answer. Now you have PR of D with you and PR of D0 with you. Then what is the answer after dividing these two? After dividing, you need to rearrange so that you will get this answer. Did you get this answer or not? Sir, I'll call, sir. I'm in class, sir. I will call you, sir. I'm in class, sir. Yeah. Did you got that, anyone? After dividing and rearranging, we will get the received power at a distance D, which is equal to received power at a distance D0 into D0 by D the whole square.